Hi guys, this is Lachette from Saga Volume Creations. I'm back with the second half of my May reading wrap up. These are the books I read, or the rest of the books I read in the month of May, plus my reading stats. Quick disclaimer, it's kind of warm, my window's open, and my fan is on, so please excuse any background noise. Now, let's start off as usual with the reading stats. In the month of May, I read 6 books. Not bad, but not great. Only not great in the fact that I had plenty of time to read more, just didn't for a whole entire 2 weeks. I read fan fiction. Anyway, number of pages read 1001, hours listened 16. The average rating was 3.83. I acquired no books. I read not. Why does it say I read 9 library books? I finished 9 library books. I've read 6 library books, and 1 was owned voices. Genres: 5 fantasy and 1 romance. Formats: I lost it. There we go. Formats: I read 1 audiobook and 5 ebooks. The audience: 5 adult and 1 new adult. Identity or gender: there was only 1 book with gender fluid characters. I'm gonna say gender fluid. When I go over it, you'll probably understand. And race: I read 2 books with the main characters who were Asian, and 2 books with mixed characters. Either they were mixed racially themselves as individuals, or the races of the characters were different from each other. I usually look at 2 main characters unless it's a book that has 3. Otherwise, I kind of don't really pay too much attention. Not too much attention. I don't count it in the stats. Let's see. Sexuality: 2 bisexual characters. I read 2 books with bisexual characters and 1 with a pansexual character. Authors: I read 1 new to me author and 5 that were not new. And the types of books: I read 0 standalones, all 6 were from series, and 1 was a reread. Lastly, on to the rating. 1 4.5 stars, 4 4 stars, and 1 2.5 star. Okay, so let's talk about the books that I read. The last 3 books I read in the month of May. First up is Tower of Swallows by Andrzej Sapkowski. Oh, this is impossible, guys. Either there's glare or there's not glare, but it's sideways. But anyway, maybe I'll start editing these in more. This is book 6. I'm calling it book 6. I don't know why this is made such a big deal out of, but book 6 in the Witcher series. If we want to be technical, it's book 4, since the first 2 books were short story collections, whatever. This was my 2.5 read. I probably would have DNF'd this if I had been reading it physically. Audiobook, I was able to zone out of the parts that completely bored me or just seemed so grim, dark, and it was unnecessarily so. Um, at this point, like I can't give spoilers. I'm honestly thinking about starting a channel just called Spoilers so I can talk about the books. But Siri goes through some things here. It's in very graphic detail and it's bad. It's bad. That's the whole grim dark section, which is like half the book at least. The constant point of view changing is still happening, and we know I'm not a fan. Especially from people who I don't care about their. I there was a whole section that was interesting from a political point of view, but from this story part, I was just like, why? Uh, there's and then once again, like everything's really slow until like the last quarter, maybe the last fifth of the book, and then it's action, and now you're really into it, and then the book ends, and it's just so annoying. This is, I think, the second biggest cliffhanger ending of the series so far. We get some explanations and answers for that other cliffhanger ending, which I think was Blood of Elves. I think. Anyway, I'm going to finish because I looked, and technically the end of this storyline, which started in book 3 or book 1, up until now, ends in the next book. I cannot wait. I can't wait. I want it to be over. I see why this series is so popular and so lauded, but there's too many chunks of I don't careness from and points of view from people I don't care about. Too many. And I'm not happy with the thought processes of Geralt or Yennefer in this either. So let's just put that out there. Like I said, 2.5 stars. It's an adult fantasy. It's I've never said this, but this is translated. Andrzej Sapkowski is not English or American. I forget what country he's from, but yeah. And I listened to this on audio book from the library. Next up, I read The Black Tides of Heaven by G. Yang. This could also be G.Y. Yang. Like, on the cover, there's no dots, but almost everywhere else there are. And it wasn't clarified on their website, but first of all, this artwork, which is not like really in the book, but it's there. This is a novella. It's technically book number 1 in the Tenserate series. Book number 2 came out on this at the same time, so they're supposed to be read back to back or in tandem or whatever. I will be reading book 2 after this. I really like this. I gave it 4.5 stars, even though it's a novella, fantasy, adult. I read the ebook from my library. Let's see. This is about 2 twins who are born in this society where those with magic are in power, and those without are kind of poor, in poverty, and or slaves. And the military is all those with magic and that kind of thing. Their mother is like the ruler of this country. The twins are born, and the other thing about the society is that children are born without a gender or sex. So they decide what they want to be after they've grown up. When that happens is up to them, though it's usually, I guess, around teenage years that is decided. So that is really cool. And I might have to change one of my stats, but I could be wrong. Um, how do I put? Yeah, this is really quick. Like I said, it's a novella. I There are huge time jumps in this, but it's very clear. I don't feel it's very sudden. I've seen others complain about insta love, and I guess I don't know. I feel like people having crushes on each other and like being interested is not insta love, but that's just me. Um, that aside, we don't really see, because of the shortness of it and the time jumps, we don't really see those relationships develop um, over time. It's, they were liking each other, and then time jump and they're getting together, and then time jump, they've been married God knows how many years with a child. So, yeah. I absolutely love this. The shortness. This is the only novella that I didn't have a problem with the shortness of it. I felt like it was complete, even with the time jumps, even with the insta love. It felt complete. I didn't feel like I needed more. Um, Part of that might be because of the fact that there are two sequels to this, so I know that there will be more. Um, but following the character that we did, I found it interesting and well written for what it is, and I don't like it less because of the shortness, which is out of the ordinary for me. So yeah, this is the second book I read for the Asian readathon. Um, Ji Yang is Taiwanese, I think. I think if I'm incorrect, I'll put the correct nationality here on the screen below. But yeah, now to the last book that I read in the month of May, and that is Saga Volume 3. There we go. This is the third volume of the graphic novel by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staple, the artist. I continue to love the art style. I'm continuing to be interested in the story, and these two parents, and all of these warring nations, and the violence and the ridiculousness of some of the situations. We get to find out about the author of that book. If you know what I'm talking about, then you had to at least read the first volume to know. But yeah, I continue to love this. I think so far this is my favorite volume. I rated it 5 stars. It was emotional and well drawn, and there were some surprises. And like I said, I can't wait to see what happens next. So, this is an adult sci-fi graphic novel. I read the ebook from my library. Let me know, like I said, if you read any of the other books that I actually finished this month. And please, if you like this video, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more of my recent reads or my favorites, because I'm posting a series of my favorite genres and favorite books or series in each of those genres. So subscribe if that's interesting, or if any of my other content is interesting to you. Hit that notification bell so you know when my next video goes up. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.